And let's go to Brian, because this gets us to our final topic of the night here, Pop Smokes. Brian saying, what happened to the days that you didn't know someone was a free agent until they showed up somewhere else? Your boy Hammer's free agency has meant nothing other than he isn't on MLW anymore. Will Fatu's fall into the same trap? And that is, Brian, I'm glad you brought this up, because again, this is the topic that we want to hear, because we came here to talk about this. Jacob Fatu, this came out of nowhere, Pop Smokes. I'm sitting there, I see the message. All of a sudden, it's Jacob Fatu, free agent, no longer with MLW. He's already over there working with Reality of Wrestling with Booker T. Booker T singing his praises, wanting the WWE to sign him. It seems like we knew this was on the verge somewhere, but it's been fast-tracked all of a sudden. Like that, Jacob Fatu is gone from MLW, and now all of a sudden there is the rumor that WWE could be the ones in a prime position, considering the connection with Booker T and Reality of Wrestling, to get Jacob Fatu over to their side. Huge get for the WWE if they get him. Big get for the WWE. But like Brian's saying, does it really mean much now that we've seen it? And even WWE kind of hinted at it. If you watch carefully, the WrestleMania kickoff, when Roman Reigns and The Rock were showing the big list of the link up between all the family members, and right there at the bottom in plain sight, WWE had Jacob Fatu on the list. Not Zila Fatu, not any of the other ones, Jacob Fatu. And it almost felt like all the names on the list at some point in time had a connection to WWE except for Jacob Fatu. And that was the one that everybody's now circling, going, wait a second here. Is there something to this?
Yeah, it's been speculated for a long time. A great comment by Brian, by the way. He's such a smart wrestling fan. He totally gets it. But think about it, though. Since we've been watching MLW now for, what has it been, 5 years or something like that, that speculation has always been there that Fatu is too good to be on the indies. Why don't these companies snatch him up? And we knew what the rumor was all that time ago, was that there were some things in his past and some charges that had been laid and stuff like that that the WWE was shying away from. Now they've got the perfect angle to insert him in, the perfect one, right? It's obviously he's part of that bloodline, and he's one of the toughest guys in it, probably, and one of the best wrestlers and one of the more vicious guys in that. But do they want him in their company when he has a past that could be considered salty by some? I don't know what their company's rules are about that sort of thing, but that's always been the rumor of why he hasn't been there all this time. So it begs the question, do they sign him and not worry about that stuff, or do they not sign him? We don't know. There's no way that we can know that exactly, but I love the hint that he was on that family tree there. Isn't that delicious? A little hint there too that they dropped, and man, they should do it. But how long is this bloodline story going to go on? How many guys are they going to ship in to work on it? We don't know any of this, so it's all speculation at this point. But what a great get it would be for WWE to have him on their TV.
Oh, guaranteed it would be. As Bobby saying he'd love to see Jacob Fatu sign with TNA or New Japan Pro Wrestling. Andre clearly would love to see Jacob Fatu over in New Japan Wrestling. I think there'd be some great action there. Ed coming in. Ed Fries is going to be joining Kyle Sparks on the Honor Ramble following us here tonight. Ed, how are you doing? Saying if Fatu goes somewhere, he is headed to WWE. I would tend to side with Ed on this one, based on what we've seen, what we've heard, the speculations. Even when we interviewed Joseph Samael, the close counterpart to Jacob Fatu, alluded to us that there was big things in store for Jacob Fatu this year. In fact, he mentioned it right to us that Jacob Fatu was working on something. There was something coming. It was going to be coming up in the upcoming year. So we have waited that time. We have now seen it happen. He is now gone from MLW. He is a free agent. He's over there working with Booker T, Reality of Wrestling. I got to imagine Ed is correct and WWE bound is he. Whether or not they put him into that bloodline, I mean, they put him on that list doesn't mean they have to include him in the bloodline storyline. Jacob Fatu, I think, would be great to go in there and carve a path of his own, in my opinion.
Sure. I'm reading Ed's comment here too. Fatu's charges were not like any of those ones right there.
Yeah.
But, the ones you go to jail for. Yeah.
But again, I believe that a lot of it was about being able to cross the border and stuff like that when it came to Jacob Fatu. But I imagine that with the WWE and TKO Sports and all the money and the power they have behind, let's not kid ourselves. Is the UFC completely clear of all criminal charges and violent acts that have happened?
For sure.
We're talking the same business people that are behind the UFC that have probably got a lot of things overlooked for their fighters to be able to cross borders and stuff too. So I wouldn't put it outside the realm of possibility that these people could work very heavily to eliminate all those problems from Jacob Fatu's past.
Yeah. Again, it's only speculation. I don't know what their standards or protocols are about that kind of stuff. This was simply a rumor that we had heard years ago when people were asking, why is Fatu still on the indies? He's too talented for that.
Yeah. As Asher's saying, what I love about free agents is the surprise when they show up somewhere else. And again, that's kind of what we were getting at with what Brian was saying. And it seems to be gone when they announce it, when the dirt sheets get a hold of it, or anybody can get a hold of that news and they bring it forward. You're not surprised when they show up somewhere. And again, hearing Booker T sing the praises of Fatu and him working in Reality of Wrestling, somehow the surprise element of him showing up there might be completely out the window. Now, if he shows up somewhere else entirely, that could lead to a little bit more surprise. I think the expectation is WWE. The only element surprise for Fatu is if he went somewhere else and nobody said a damn word about it in the process.
Yeah, well, good luck for that one, right? Like nowadays, if you're going to go to a big wrestling show and you want any kind of a surprise whatsoever, you better stay off social media for a full week before that. Not even have a peek, not hear a peep of anything. Because they will spoil it for you. Those guys that work for some of those sheets just say, yeah, he's backstage, she's backstage, or she's working out with her friend, or they're already there. We saw them arrive, and it's just that. For God's sakes, man, we can't have any fun anymore.
We really can't. So we'll wait and see. We'll play the waiting game. We'll see where Jacob Fatu goes. But I mean, all the best to him as always, Papa Smokes. We love his work. Again, I'm not going to stay away from watching Jacob Fatu matches. If he ends up in WWE, then I'll have a reason to turn on Jacob Fatu matches in WWE. Not saying I'll turn on WWE, just Jacob Fatu matches WWE. But it depends. Again, they've got some good people there. They've got some interesting stuff. I'd like to see him go over to the NXT side. Personally, I think that he could use some time in NXT to hone that craft and work with some of the people there. I think it would be fantastic. Bobby saying he'd like to see Zila Fatu come to MLW. Again, I believe if Brother Jacob's heading somewhere else, that Zila might not be far behind too. And again, here's an opportunity to add to a tag division. If you wanted to put Zila and Jacob Fatu together in a tag team, especially to start them off, because we're saying about how big a signing this is because we know how great Jacob Fatu is, but let's not kid ourselves. We are a very niche portion of the wrestling community that understands and knows Jacob Fatu. His debut, we can think big about it, but I don't necessarily think that the mass amount of fans that watch WWE are very familiar with Jacob Fatu or very much his brother Zila at this point.
Oh, yeah. The casual wrestling fan has no idea who Jacob Fatu is at this point, but like you were saying, he probably will have to spend some time at the Performance Center because he doesn't know how to wrestle, but because he knows how to wrestle, they'll have to grind the creativity out of him. They'll have to beat the indie wrestler out of him. They'll have to limit his move set and to get him into that WWE McDonald's type factory where everybody's cut from the same mold and everybody does the same moves and everybody wrestles the same roster all the time. It's sad to me, but I do wish him all the success, and I hope he goes up there and gets some big paydays.
Yeah, and again, that's what it's all about as a wrestler, is being able to make it to the big time, being able to make some money and make a good living for you and your family. And we hope the best for Jacob Fatu. He's done nothing but give us years of entertainment over in MLW and
Oh
left
yeah.
his mark there. And hey, that door is always going to be welcome open to him if he ever isn't with one of the big guys and he decides to hit those indies again one day. Jacob Fatu will be an even bigger name returning to MLW at that time.